Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh. So last week we heard the epic story of the bravery of Bhai Bota Singh Ji and Bhai Garja Singh Ji. And today the stories of our ancestors continue, now moving into the year 1740. Today's Sakhi shows the might of the Khalsa, how just two Singhs shook the very core of that evil Mughal regime. Like last week, this is a very dark chapter of our Itihas, a time you couldn't see a single Sikh in Punjab. Zakaria Khan had called together a great meeting with a number of other butcher leaders, such as Harpagat Niranjaniya, Rama Randava, Massa Ranghar, Sahib Rai, and others who were ordered to carry out this genocide. Kesan wale jo nar hoi, baal bird lab shadda na koi. Anyone with case, doesn't matter if they were old or young, anyone with uncut hair must be hunted down and killed. And it was not just the Singhs in danger. Warnings were issued stating that anyone who helped the Singhs would be wiped out along with their family. Anyone who fed the Singhs would be converted to Islam. Anyone who would marry into a Sikh family would be killed off. This fear meant that the population would not help the Singhs. And some, greedy for the rewards, started even hunting for the heads of the Singhs. Sometimes groups of villagers would ambush the Sikh families living in their pind to get the rewards. And as we've heard before, some reaching the peak of evil would kill their own daughters, destroy the face so that you couldn't tell it was a girl, and present it to Zakaria Khan as a head of a Singh just because of the long case and just to get the rewards that the Mughal regime were offering. The houses of Sikhs were burnt, Punjab was taken over by these evil beings, and the Sikh population had no option other than to leave Punjab and go into hiding. Some went into the jungles, some went into the mountains, and many Gursikhs travelled to Bikaner, Rajasthan to find safety, one being Bhai Mehtab Singh Ji. Sangat Ji, this history that has been written down by Ratan Singh Pangu, who was the grandson of this very same Bhai Mehtab Singh Ji that we're going to hear about today. So this is the story of Ratan Singh's own grandfather, written as he's heard from his family firsthand. Although Bhai Mehtab Singh Ji got busy in work in Rajasthan, still his mind was set in Punjab. He always wondered what was happening back home. And one day, more Gursikhs from Punjab arrived, including a Bhai Bulaka Singh Ji. Bhai Mehtab Singh Ji said Fateh and asked Ke Gursikha, how is our homeland? What is the state of Punjab? Are you bringing good news? And Sangat Ji, that messenger Bhai Bulaka Singh Ji who had just arrived burst out into tears. He said, don't ask. I can't tell you. This has never happened before. Singh kahyo kach pooch na baat, jim turkane ne ki no kaat, mukho kaho mukh fatta jave, kanno suno to kan dukhave. He said, I'm not able to tell you what is happening in Punjab, and nor will you be able to listen to what I'm saying. Your ears will hurt if I tell you. My mouth doesn't want me to tell you either, but I'm stuck, as you need to know as well. I need to tell you, even though every limb of mine is pained when I think about what's happening in Punjab. And Bhai Bulaka Singh Ji continued. He says, our home has been taken over by butchers. There is a stone-hearted Papi Dusht Chaudhry Massa Ranghar who has taken over Amritsar Sahib. Bhai Mehtab Singh Ji, that very same royal, beautiful Darbar Sahib of Dhan Guru Ramdas Sahib Ji Maharaj, on that very same throne of Guru Sahib Ji, Massa Ranghar sits there drinking alcohol, smoking Hukka. He has prostitutes dancing in the very same Darbar Sahib of our Guru. Instead of hearing the blessed sounds of Kirtan, you now hear dirty music and dance. This massive beadbi is happening right in front of us and we can't do anything, Bhai Mehtab Singh. This papi, this sinner who's so full of ego he proudly boasts of his evil doings. He speaks so much filth against Sikhi that even people of other faiths cannot bear to hear his words. That's the state of Punjab, Mehtab Singh. This is what's happening in our home. Sad Sangat Ji, Bhai Mehtab Singh Ji, beer ras vich aake akkha laal ho gaya, kehnde ne ki Singh kidhar gaye? Where are the Singhs? Has the Shakti of the Khalsa finished? Why haven't they cut his head off already? What are you waiting for? Where is the strength of the Singhs? Have all the Khalsa disappeared? Bhai Bulaka Singh Ji looked at Bhai Mehtab Singh Ji and replied. He said, Mehtab Singh, you're from Punjab as well, aren't you? You came running from that very same Punjab, fearing for your life. We're all in the same boat. You can't blame others. No Singh can even get near to him. You can't even see a single Sikh in the Majha region of Punjab. Even the general population mock the Singhs. The word on the street is that Zakaria Khan is finished Sikhi. These same Singhs who would wake up at Amrit Vela and recite Gurbani and say Akal, Akal all day, these same Singhs who would practice Shastra Vidya and do Kirtan, they call themselves Khalsa. Zakaria Khan ne Sikha di jad pat ditti. He's finished them all. And hearing all of this, it was too difficult for Bhai Mehtab Singh Ji. It was like he had been bit by a snake. He had froze on the spot and he had so much pain just hearing these words. And then Sangat Ji, Mehtab Singh Ji shot up and in Beras called out to all the Singhs. He said that I'm going to Amritsar Sahib. I will sort this Beadbi out. Let's see who this Massa Ranghar is. And hearing this, another great Gursikh, Bhai Sukha Singh Ji Mari Kamboke, also stood up. He was a battle-hardened, Puran Surma, the fiercest of the fierce, the bravest of the brave. We've already covered one episode where Bhai Sukha Singh completed the unthinkable by having Ishnan when there was a curfew around the Sarovar. And we'll hear a lot more about Bhai Sukha Singh Ji's upbringing and other Mahan Karname in the upcoming episodes. Both these Gursikhs, Bhai Mehtab Singh Ji and Bhai Sukha Singh Ji, got ready. Very quickly they arranged for their horses. They did Ardas and Sangat Ji, they touched the feet of the Panj Singhs. Guru Khalsa Sahib Ji, please bless us. We will either go there and become Shaheed, or we will assassinate Massa Ranghar and we will come back here and place the chopped head of Massa Ranghar in your feet, Khalsa Ji. Pyare Panj Singh, we will come back to touch your blessed charan. The sounds of Sat Sri Akal could be heard as the Singhs said Fateh and they left towards Amritsar Sahib. They travelled non-stop for the next few days and getting close to Darbar Sahib, they disguised themselves as village tax collectors. They changed their dastar style and filled up a bag with broken up bits of clay, pottery. Baaro te ida lagda si ke Lambardai Chaudhary aage, that these tax collectors had arrived carrying bags of money, but inside the bag was just pieces of worthless dirt. The Gursikh pair did Ardas for Safalta, to be successful in their mission. Maharaj, please allow us to get just close to Massa Ranghar. It doesn't matter if we become Shaheed, but just allow us to get near him. And Sangat Ji, these were the days of extreme summer in the month of Bhaddo. They arrived in the early afternoon. It was very warm, humid, but also windy, and a lot of the dirt was flying around, which meant that Bhai Mehtab Singh Ji and Bhai Sukha Singh Ji could cover the faces with a lard from their dastar, hiding their identity without any suspicion. The guards of Massa Ranghar had no idea what was coming. They were lying there in the shade, half asleep. Some guards were drunk, not realizing that death was on its way in the form of these things. As they reached the Darshan Deori, they tied up their horses and hid their spears. Both Guru ke Surme hid their talwars underneath their shawls, and they walked towards Sri Darbar Sahib. They were stopped by the guard at the entrance of Sri Darbar Sahib. And the Singhs explained that they were just here to give tax revenue to Massa Ranghar. And this guard, greedy for a share of the money, hinted towards accepting a bribe. And Sangat Ji, the Singh said, Ke, don't worry, whatever we give Massa Ranghar, we will give to you on the way back out. Tu chinta na kar, tuade hissa vi devange. The guard, with a smile on his face, thinking he would be rewarded with money, allowed the Singhs to enter the Darbar Sahib. There, Massa Ranghar was sitting on a throne, like he owned the place. Massa Ranghar noticed both Surme enter and bow down. He got happy thinking that the pair were respecting him, but actually Surma Bhai Mehtab Singh Ji and Bhai Sukha Singh Ji were actually just bowing down out of respect for the blessed Darbar Sahib and the throne of Dhan Guru Ramdas Sahib Ji. When the Singhs seen with their own eyes that Sachi Massa Ranghar is sitting there on this throne, fully intoxicated, smoking and watching these dancing prostitutes, Ekdam Singha no beras chad gaya. They couldn't control themselves. Just like the sun seems to shine brighter just before it sets in the evening. In the same way, Massa Ranghar was displaying more paap just before being assassinated. Massa Ranghar laughed and said, "How much money have you brought me?" and the Singhs threw the bag of dirt towards the pillow side of Massa Ranghar and told him to look for himself. But as Massa Ranghar, fully intoxicated, not realizing that Mahakal, death itself, was standing in front of him, he bent down to pick the bag up, which was supposed to be full of gold coins, and in doing so, he had revealed his neck. And Bhai Mehtab Singh Ji, like lightning striking ikdam at once, drew his srohi, his sword, and with one single blow cut the head of Massa Ranghar, which rolled on the ground like a football. Bhai Sukha Singh Ji, on the other side, took out all the guards and everyone else contributing to the beadabi of Darbar Sahib, even the dancers, sare chatkate. Everyone ran for their lives. The Singhs took the severed head of Massa Ranghar. They jumped onto their horses and vanished from the scenes before the guards could even realize what happened. Even after 30 minutes, the rest of the guards started to come to their senses. They realized what had just actually happened, and by then the Singhs had travelled miles away through the jungles. The great Bhai Mehtab Singh Ji, Surma Bhai Sukha Singh Ji, they went straight to Jaipur. They had completed this mission impossible. And there they were met with the Jakare as they entered the Khalsa Darbar with the head of Massa Ranghar. The Singhs present at the time, they took their shoes off and each of them got a chance to hit Massa Ranghar's head, the chopped off head, with their shoes. Both warriors then touched the charan of the Panj Singhs as they redeemed their pledge and received many blessings from all for completing such an impossible mission, and showing that the Khalsa was still alive and tayar bar tayar, and that any corruption, any evil would be destroyed by the Guru Khalsa. When news spread, Zakaria Khan and the other corrupt leaders, they couldn't sleep anymore. They were having nightmares that Sukha Singh, Mehtab Singh would be coming after them. And Sangat Ji, it is worth noting that all of those corrupt rulers mentioned at the start of this episode, all of them and their family lineage has been destroyed. But that Sikhi that they aimed to finish, that very same Sikhi has spread all over the world. What are we doing to develop the Sukha and Mehtab Singhs of today? Do we read and share our itihas to our young generations? May Guru Sahib bless us to understand and learn from our itihas. Please forgive me for my mistakes. Lekha katahana shutiya, kin boolan har, baksan har, baksla nanak par utar, Vaheguru Ji ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji ki Fateh.
Please like, comment, subscribe and share this video to spread the message of Sikhi. Make your daswan safala and donate so we can create more content like this. The link is in the description below.